So you're thinking about moving to Irvine, California, and you're probably in that research phase. Well, I was there too. And I'm going to share some things with you about my move to Irvine, as well as some of the things I learned once I actually lived here. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 11 things you need to know before moving to Irvine, California. All right, stay tuned. What is going on? Welcome to the Living in Irvine, California channel. My name is Abiera. I'm a local realtor here, and if you are new to the channel and you want to learn all about what it's like to live here, to move here, and to raise your family here, then do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell so you're notified every time I put out a new video. So I get questions all the time. Ron, what is it like to live in Irvine? What's it like to raise your 4 daughters here? What do you guys like to do for fun? What do you like, and even what do you dislike about living here? And I get excited when I get these questions because I absolutely enjoy being a guide and sharing my story and my experience moving here. And that's why I started this channel. So if you have any thoughts about moving to Irvine or the surrounding areas, definitely reach out to me. Call, text, email. My info is right here on the screen, and I look forward to having a conversation with you about your move to Irvine. So let's go ahead and jump into this. This is going to be 11 things you need to know before moving to Irvine, and in no particular order. Number 11 is you may have to street park. So one of the things that I discovered after moving here is that a lot of the properties, I'm gonna have to say over 60% of the properties here in Irvine do not have a driveway. There's a popular design out here, especially in the newer communities. It's sort of like a alley driveway where basically the garages are all in the back of the home. You come through an alleyway to get to your garages, so there's no driveway towards the front. So it wasn't until I actually moved here that I realized over the years that I started to acquire more cars. So parking became a hot button for me. So when we first moved here, I had 2 cars, my car and my wife's car. I currently now have a college age daughter, so she's got her car. I've got a 16-year-old daughter who may be getting her own car. The fun fact is that I actually acquired one of my toys is a 1971 Volkswagen Super Beetle. So check out these photos here. Absolutely love this car. Shout out to Ralph and Marie for allowing me to be the second owner. So there's only been one owner for this car, and I'm been fortunate enough to now become the second owner. If you don't know, this is a air-cooled engine car, and I definitely will not park this outside. So I've got to keep it nice and clean and garaged inside. So, you know, I've got that car and my car. So now I've got to deal with street parking. So definitely something you want to pay attention to, whether you have multiple cars or even an oversized car. You got to think about where you're going to park. So as you're choosing where you want to live and what type of property you have, you've got to pay attention to the street parking, because you may have to park out there. You want to look at things like, especially the condo communities where parking is limited, or even gated communities. You're either going to have limited parking, or there may be some rules on how you park within that community. So definitely pay attention that you may need to street park here in Irvine. Number 10, trash bins must be stored away. So here in Irvine, we do have a trash service where they come once a week to pick up your trash and your recyclables, and they're collected in trash bins. If you're living here in Irvine, there's gonna be a 95% chance that you're gonna be living in a community with an HOA. And all the HOA rules are that the trash bins have to be stored when they're not on trash day, out of plain view. So you're either going to put it in your backyard behind the gate or in a patio behind the gate, or number 2, you've got to store it in your garage. And I've experienced both living here. And when I did not have a patio, I had to store it in the garage. I absolutely hated that. I don't like having to lose garage space. As you know, I've got 2 cars. There's a sound booth in my garage. We've got a lot of shoes. I've got 4 girls. There's a lot of shoes that we have to store, and we put them in the garage. So losing that extra space really bothered me. And number 2 is the smell. So if you got your trash in your garage, more than likely you're gonna have to smell what comes with having trash in your garage. So So I definitely hated that. However, I understand that, sometimes you don't have a choice. If you're in a condo or townhome, and even in some detached homes, they don't have a yard, you're gonna have to put it into the garage. So you got to deal with it. However, my advice is that when you are looking for a place, pay attention to the garage space. So a lot of times when you're in the garage, you'll see the garage door opening. Check if there's any space to the sides. So I would probably say at a minimum, if you can get at least 12 inches on either side, preferably both, you're not going to have any problem sticking the trash bins into the garage and still be able to park a couple of cars. So definitely keep in mind, you've got to store these trash bins somewhere. Hopefully you'll have outdoor patio or a backyard, or if it's in your garage, hopefully you have space on the sides that you can actually fit those bins in your garage. Number 9 is going to be all the activities that are available for kids. So when we decided to move here, this is definitely important to us. And it wasn't until we actually were living here that we realized how much is actually available to all of these kids. And it's crazy. So let's just talk about sports. Relatively new here in Irvine is a place called the Great Park. And it's basically a large sports complex that has fields for just about every sport that kids can be a part of. We've got baseball, softball fields, soccer fields, tennis courts. You've got beach volleyball courts, basketball courts. So there's also an ice rink, so people can do ice skating, hockey. It's crazy of the amount of sports that are available to these kids. Obviously they have stuff at school, but if they want to do things outside of school, they've got traveling teams. It's crazy on how much is available to these kids when it comes to sports. And outside of sports, there's also the arts. And my kids participate in a lot of these activities. So even within the school system, I think that arts is a requirement. So there's a good chance that if you have kids in school, that they're going to be learning an instrument. So they'll have an opportunity to play an instrument, a musical instrument, or they can participate in singing, I believe is another opportunity for them. Whether it's in school or outside of school, there's all kinds of places for dance, music, singing, acting, theater. So there's definitely all kinds of opportunity for the kids to explore the arts. And on that note, I just want to say these are all available for kids, but adults, whether you have kids or not, you have opportunities to partake in all of this as well, whether they be sports. I see a lot of adult leagues when it comes to, I see a lot of soccer players out there, all the dance, all the arts. It's available for adults and kids, but definitely there's a big opportunity for kids to be part of stuff out here. Number 8 is traffic safety. Ooh, this is a good one. So take a look at the map here. Just within Irvine, there are over 20 different schools here, elementary, middle school, high school. So if you're ever driving around through the neighborhoods, there's going to be a really good chance you're coming across a school, which means slow down, pay attention. I don't know what it is, but people don't. So within these school zones, people are speeding. They don't stop at stop signs. They don't yield to pedestrians. They do these California rolling stops. So definitely pay attention. I've seen it firsthand. What I do want to say about that is, the school district does do a great job of posting pedestrian crosswalk people, and they're usually right around the schools. So that's great. Things are typically going to be safe there, but even a few blocks away from the schools, at some of these intersections, there isn't a crosswalk person there, so you still got to pay attention. I don't know what it is, but people lose their mind when they're driving. Just pay the freak attention. One thing that I will say is that the city officials here, they do a great job. They do monitor social media platforms, Facebook groups, and things like that. And, sometimes residents will point out some of these intersections where people are not paying attention. And then there was an incident where a driver actually hit a student on a bike. And I believe that they're okay, but it took that incident to make everybody realize, and basically our residents had reached out to city officials, and they came in, did their review and put in a couple of stop signs, and now it's a 4-way stop. So definitely shout out to those residents and parents that do alert our officials and our officials for making change. It was a really great thing. So definitely pay attention to stop signs, traffic safety in general. One of the things that we do as parents of small kids, and it was really my wife that taught this to our kids, is that when pedestrians get to an intersection, before they cross, even though they may have a right of way and there are cars that are trying to cross as well, before you step into the street, we tell our kids to make eye contact with those drivers, because they need to know you're there, and you need to know that they know that you're there before you step into the street. So definitely teach our little ones on how to deal with pedestrians, and even driving as well. You know, I have to watch out. So this actually just happened the other day. So I actually live across the street from school, and there's a T intersection that has stop signs. And I was approaching the stop sign, and there was another driver kind of going at a high rate of speed. And I had a feeling that he probably did not want to stop at that stop sign, but I was there, and I proceeded to make a left turn. And the gentleman that was at the T intersection was trying to make a left turn as well, to cross my path. I'm already in the intersection, and dude kept going. He didn't stop. And of course, I come to a stop. I was already anticipating this. So I'm stopped in the middle of the intersection. Of course, I've got to mean mug the gentleman. I got to let him know, hey, what you're doing is not right. Just for a second, I had to let him know what's going on. And bro had the nerve to wave me through to let me know that it's clear for me to go. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this guy has no clue that you're supposed to stop at a stop sign. Anyway, whether you're a pedestrian or you're a driver, just pay attention to how other people are driving, and be safe out there, guys. All right, number 7, earthquake and fires. They happen here in Irvine. So let's talk about earthquakes real quick. We have not had a major earthquake out here, but we do feel some of the tremors. There have been in the past sort of aftershocks that we've felt here in town. So they do happen here. So as a owner here, even if you're renting, you do want to get some type of insurance, earthquake insurance, to protect, you know, your property and your belongings within your home. And also there's going to be fires. So here in Irvine, some of our communities, I mean, we're right up against some of the foothills. So I talked about this before, but here in Irvine, we do experience these Santa Ana winds that come through. So when you have that mixture of high winds, dry vegetation, anything that could start a fire would cause that fire to grow rather quickly. So pay attention to that here. Most recently in 2020, we did have a scare where fires had started and they came right up to our communities, and we've had evacuation orders in place. So again, if you're going to be owning a property, some of these properties do come very close to fire hazard zones. So you want to make sure you have your earthquake insurance and your fire insurance in place to protect against something catastrophic that could happen. So they do happen here. Pay attention. Number 6 are taxes and Mello. So a Mello is basically an additional tax that homeowners are going to have to pay. Typically, when a builder or developer starts a community, they take out a bond with the city, and they put in things like city lights, sidewalks, certain infrastructure that they have to put into place to start that community, and they end up passing on that cost to the homeowners. So what that means to you as a homeowner, on the low end, that could be anywhere between $1,700 to, on the high end, could be over $12,000 that you would pay annually as part of your taxes. So not all communities in Irvine have the Mello, but typically more of the newer communities are going to have this. So definitely pay attention to that. And my advice to you is get in touch with your lender if you are going to be financing, to help manage that and to help set the right expectations on what your true cost is going to be when it comes to your mortgage. And of course, if you work with our team, I definitely hook you up with somebody professional out here locally that understands what the Mello is, what HOAs are. So when they are calculating what it's going to cost to live here, they're going to give you true numbers. And number 5, housing is expensive here. So if you take a look at the graph, the Irvine values versus the county average were about 30% higher. So whether they're attached products or detached products, on average, it's still about 30%. So expect to pay a premium to live here in Irvine. Now, there are going to be surrounding areas that are going to be below that, but just keep in mind, this is what you're looking at if you're looking to move to Irvine and owning. And on the flip side, if you're looking at renting, you have to know what those values are going to be like. So from a 2-bedroom, you're going to be starting somewhere around $3,000 a month. And if, as you move up to the 3 bedrooms, $4,000 a month, and 4 bedrooms and up, you could be looking at over $5,000 a month to rent. So definitely higher prices here, whether you're owning or renting. I would recommend that if you're going to be paying these prices, that you're going to see value on why you're paying these prices. And again, a lot of the driving factors for people to move here and to own here are going to be the schools, the safety, and even job relocations. Those are the primary factors that I see why people are moving to Irvine. So be prepared for the actual costs to live here. Number 4, you've got to know about the toll roads. So just within Irvine, we have a number of toll roads. We have the 133, the 241, the 261, and the 73. So there is a cost associated with using these toll roads, and sometimes depending on where you need to go, if you do want to save time, it might be worth it for you to take these toll roads. So as an example, I do use some of the toll roads at times. I typically will take the 241 to head south towards Lake Forest or Rancho Santa Margarita. I know in Lake Forest I use it because I take my daughter to one of the dance studios there, Broadway Art Studio, shout out to them. And it's more convenient for me to take the toll road. The 261 will typically take you from Irvine to the 91 freeway. So the 91 freeway will take you east or west. Typically, if you're gonna head west, you're heading towards Los Angeles. If you take it east, I connect to the 15 freeway when I need to get to Las Vegas, or head south if I need to get to San Diego. And then you've got the 73 freeway, which connects South Orange County all the way up to Irvine. Keep in mind, that one's probably the most expensive one of all of our toll roads. It's $5 to use that toll road one way. My advice to you, if you're thinking about using the toll roads, it's pretty convenient to have a transponder. So I recommend getting one of these transponders, throw it in your car. And I think the newer ones, you can even just put a sticker on your bumper so it doesn't have to, stick to your windshield or anything like that. Definitely have that. And that way, if you do decide to use the toll roads, you don't have to worry about going online to paying for it. So in regards to the toll roads, just keep in mind again that there is a fee to use them. On average, they're a couple dollars to use these toll roads. The way that I find it convenient is when I actually leave Irvine. So these toll road transponders, they work throughout Southern California. So there are certain expressways that you can use, or they call it fast track, where you can take it to bypass traffic. And again, there is a cost, but it's super convenient for me. I know that they've got them on the 10 freeway, which runs east to west. So if you're heading towards Los Angeles, they have them on, I believe, the 15 freeway. So if you're heading north and south towards out of LA or down towards San Diego, there's an area to use that. And my favorite is I enjoy being able to use it on the 110 freeway. So my daughter goes to USC, and it's really convenient because you're cutting pretty much through downtown, and that freeway gets really backed up. So it's nice to use that fast track to bypass the traffic. So my advice, just go ahead and get one, leave it in your car. If you don't use it, I don't even think there's a cost to have the transponder in your car. Number 3 is you have to understand the childcare costs. So if there's a scenario where you need to keep your child after school, most of the elementary schools have programs where they have a program for your child up until about 6 p.m. To have that program full-time, it's about $1,200 to be part of that program. If you have younger ones and you just say you need a babysitter or nanny, on average, it's probably going to start at about $20 an hour. So keep those costs in mind, and also understand that you're going to have to plan ahead. So even if you do plan to use these after-school programs, in some cases there's going to be a wait list. So anticipate there being a wait list, start your search early, and figure out what school you're going to go to and how to get on these lists if you're planning on using the after-school care. Another thing that I want to talk about in your planning is that a lot of times, even within an elementary school, there's different pickup times. So I'll just give you an example from our own situation. We had multiple kids in one elementary school, and we had 3 different pickup times. The pre-K and kindergarten age, I believe they get off at around, let's just say 11:15. So that's one pickup. The second pickup is from grades 1 through 3, and that's somewhere around, let's just say 1:17, 1:15. That's pickup number 2. And grades 4 through 6, the pickup time, let's just say 2 o'clock. I don't have all the exact times memorized because we're past those years, but we did have to deal with that. So in one particular time frame, we had 3 kids in 3 different pickup times, and that is a full-time job. right? It's going to be very, very difficult to have both parents working and to figure out those pickup times. We had to deal with it. We got through it, but pay attention to that. So that's going to be part of your planning if you have multiple kids, to figure out how you're going to do all those pickups. So whether they be childcare, babysitting, or your own personal schedule, plan ahead on how you're going to deal with the drop-off times and the pickup times. Number two, you've got to understand that there are some year-round schools. Primarily, this is going to be for the elementary school age kids. And I'll tell you about our situation, how we didn't plan for it, and it just made us have to act really, really quickly. So we identified which neighborhood we wanted to live in and the elementary school we wanted to put our kids in. And it happened to be year round, and we had no idea. So we came to look around, and one of the first stops that we did outside of driving around the community to make sure that's where we wanted to live was we stopped by the elementary school. And that's where we found out that school was starting in 2 weeks. So keep in mind, this is June, late June. We had just finished our kids' school year, and we were coming from out of state. So we come here to visit, end of June. We inquire about going to the school, and the officials told us that school starts in 2 weeks. We were blown away that, holy crap, this is happening sooner than we thought. We didn't even put our home on the market back in Las Vegas. So we asked the officials, well, how do we get our kids enrolled? And they said, well, you needed a utility bill, obviously, and an address to be able to come to the school. So that day, I went and found an apartment and just signed a lease. So that way the next day I came in to put in our request to get our kids enrolled in that school. And all of this just happened so quickly. We came from a 3,500 square foot home to a 1,000 square foot 2-bedroom apartment because I needed to get anything just to get these kids into school. So I definitely don't recommend that. Please plan ahead. And even if you are purchasing or renting, you still have to plan ahead, because in our market right now we're dealing with availability. Even if you know you want to move here, if you're relocating here for a job and you know that you have a certain start date, please don't wait. You got to start months and months in advance, because even if you're renting an apartment, a home, or you're looking to purchase, there's not a lot of availability. So you've got to plan to have time to go through that process. And number one, it's kind of a fun thing, but you better know your boba. So if you don't know what it is, these boba drinks that people are talking about is basically tapioca balls that are put into milk teas, flavored teas, smoothies, coffee drinks, and it's a big thing out here. So if you take a look at this map, just within Irvine, there's over 20 different shops that you could choose from. That lets you know the demand for these type of drinks. And I had no idea what it was until I moved here, but it is a popular thing. My wife, my girls, they're into it, they like it. So it's a good thing that I know about it. And my advice to you, be a cool dad, be a cool mom, and at least understand what it is, what the cost is. These drinks are probably very similar to coffee. It's gonna be $5 a pop, depending on all the add-ons that you put into it. So definitely know about them, know where they're located. So whether or not you decide to frequent these places, at least you're gonna know where they are, because there's gonna be a very, very good chance that some of your kids' friends are gonna wanna go. And if you have visitors from out of town and they hear about it, they're going to want to try it out. So at least know where they are, know what the cost is, and reach out to me. I'll let you know my top 5 list of these places that we like to go. And if you happen to be military, some of these spots offer military discounts. So it's a big savings if you end up going a lot like our family does. So those were my 11 things you need to know before moving to Irvine, California. And the bottom line is, my advice to you when moving out here is definitely prepare and plan ahead of time. And the way that the market is right now, I'm talking months. Take months in advance to do your research, to do your planning before you move out here. And really all I need to know is a couple of things about what it is that you want in your home. What schools you need to be nearby, the cost of the Mello. Do you need a driveway? Do you need a yard? Any of those things, you just let me know and I'll be able to point you in the right direction. So if you have any thoughts about moving to Irvine or the surrounding areas, definitely reach out to me, call, text, or email. My info is right here on the screen, and I look forward to having a conversation with you about your move to Irvine. Till the next time, see you on the next one.